right. So, as a kid, I was always told not to answer the door to strangers because they could be there to burglarize or kidnap or any number of bad things while my parents were not home. As I got older, I was told similar things. Don't go to the bar alone. Do not leave your drink at the bar sitting around. Don't leave your debit card or your license just laying on the bar or anywhere for people to see while you're at a gas station. Make sure you cover your pen while you're putting it in. I was in Girl Scouts when I was little, and I was always told to buddy up when going anywhere with an adult. We went camping a lot, and we all had to use the buddy system when going to the bathroom or walking to an activity. And as an 8-year-old, I didn't really understand why. I understood that it was for my safety, but as I got older, I understood that it also really protected us from potential crime happening as well while we're out at the campgrounds or out at events, etc. And so I was always told that crime can happen anywhere, and it can happen to anyone, no matter race, sex, any of that. And I think parents aren't wrong in wanting their kids to live in a safe world, and they got more guarded and more aware of their surroundings so they don't get hurt or become at risk for violent and even non-violent crime. Unfortunately, I think as we get older, we become more potent to crimes happening in our lives, as well as us becoming a higher, we become more, our life becomes more of a high risk than we even realized. While a person is at work, I think some of the examples would include that, while a person is at work, they may talk about their lives outside of work, which could include the town they live in, what kind of expensive products they own, and many other things you wouldn't normally share with a stranger. And people at work, typically you just work with and then go home, and then only see them at work. And so they would be considered more strangers than friends. And so all of these things that you've discussed with your work friends could potentially turn into crime information. If a criminal is working with you, then they would already know your work schedule. They could access your house while you're at work if you don't live with anybody, if you're single, or if you're widowed. And so these are all ways that you put your lifestyle at high risk, because you're giving information out that would make you vulnerable. I think that finding targets now is even easier, as it's super accessible on people's social medias. People share their locations, share what they're doing. They even pre-book events, concerts, wine tastings, telling people on the internet that they're going to be here from this time until that time, leaving their home accessible if the criminal has been following them for a while. So that's also something that I don't think a lot of people really think about, because we all use social media every day, all the time. When I log into Facebook or Snapchat, I can view somebody's location. On Snapchat, I can zoom in on the map and get a general idea of their address. It lets me zoom into the street and everything. I can do all that without even leaving my couch. Can you imagine what an actual criminal who's trying to find your location is? There's just tons of examples, but one example people probably don't think about is workers that are behind social media platforms. One platform in particular is Snapchat. There were workers who were caught viewing people's personal Snapchats that they sent out. Can you imagine posting a snap of your new Apple Watch or flat screen TV or any other expensive item that you've been buying, and it's gone because a criminal was watching you from their office? Snapchat is just one of the social media platforms that workers would be able to view all your information on, which makes them pretty invisible to the rest of the world. I mean, how scary is the thought of you just posting on social media that makes you, that puts you in the category of a high-risk lifestyle? I think nowadays it's easier to live a high-risk lifestyle, which makes you the easier target, because your information is available everywhere and you don't even realize it. And if you do realize it, you don't care. I think another high-risk lifestyle would be a person who uses drugs, who isn't fully aware of their surroundings, and who would be defenseless to a crime most of the time. Drug users would have a harder time fighting back, remembering details of the offender, or even remembering what the offender stole from them. Most of the drug users would be considered addicts, and they would need to buy drugs often to feed that addiction. things that this this would often put these people in more dangerous situations because they'd be carrying cash, the drugs, and car keys or house keys, even if they're not driving the vehicle or they're far from home. Criminals are knowledgeable and look for easier targets, which include people who would be less likely to be paying attention to their surroundings, which a lot of the times includes drug users or people similar to that. People who live high-risk lifestyles and are aware of it. There are lots of preventatives that you could start to be able to prevent you from having a high-risk lifestyle. I know that a large breed dog at your home is helpful. Criminals don't want to be chased down the street by a German Shepherd or a Weimaraner or anything. Those are big dogs, and they are like guard dogs, and they're very protective of their owners. I also think posting, your location or your addresses or anything, giving away any like valuable information about yourself on social media should not be done as well to keep yourself safe. Some of the things that I do to prevent myself becoming a target is I always walk with someone to my car from work, after work. Even if it's not dark outside, I still walk with someone to my car. As soon as I get in the house, I lock my door. And another thing that I do that most people probably don't think about is when I leave like a restaurant or Walmart late at night and I'm walking out of the doors, I get on my phone and pretend that I'm on the phone with somebody. I think that would make you less susceptible to a crime, because if you're on the phone with somebody and somebody tries to violate your space or vandalize your car, then you could, reach out for help on the phone, be like, hey, this is happening. And I don't think a lot of people think about that, but that's one of the things I've been doing for a long time, just to kind of feel safe in my surroundings. I think a lot of people in this day and age are living high risk lifestyles, and there's a lot of things that could be preventing that, and I don't think it's happening. But I definitely know that there are people that people need to be more careful now than they have been in the past.